Good morning, Arthur Rafferty, ASNI TV. I would like to speak to you this morning about a story that I have got. I think it will be well read and well heard. I would like to bring to the public attention a story that will shock many good, decent people, especially dog lovers. My daughter went to a vet in West Belfast called the Balmoral Veterinary Centre to have her 4-year-old miniature Yorkie looked at, as it had fluid swelling in its stomach. This wee dog was walked every day and was very active and very fit and never complained of any sickness. Now this vet drained the wee dog of the fluid and also done a scan. Now, her conclusion was that this dog had a weak heart. The daughter was shocked but took the vet's word that the vet was telling her the truth. He gave her heart and fluid tablets for the dog to take from that visit. Now, my daughter had to attend that vet a further 3 times to see what was wrong with the wee dog as it began to take unwell. On the 17th of the 10th, 2013, she had to bring the dog back again. This is for the 4th time to the vet, as its stomach had swollen with fluid again. Now, the vet in charge was a woman who was very abrupt and had no time or patience for the wee dog. She had to be told by my daughter that the dog needed to be drained again. She was not very gentle with the wee dog, sick dog. She gave the dog a needle, then some tablets, and then some other medicine, all at the one time. My daughter, who has worked in the Royal Victoria Hospital for over 20 years, thought it was too much for a wee sick dog to take all at once. She then put a cut in its stomach to drain the fluid out, not giving the medicine time to take effect on the wee dog. Then she put a plaster on the dog and sent it home. That was at 7:30 p.m. that night. When my daughter got the wee dog home, it went through 2 hours of pure hell and pain before it died in my daughter's arms at 9:30 p.m. the same day, just 2 hours after it left the vet. I am not a doctor, but I know enough that if a dog is sick and you give it a lot of tablets, medicine and a needle and also cut its stomach all at the one time, the trauma would be far too much for a wee sick Yorkie. When my daughter told me what happened, I phoned the so-called vet and made a complaint about the treatment the dog had got. But I got no satisfaction at all from this man. Now, this man's name was Don Flynn. I will not call him a vet, as it would be an insult to other good vets. My daughter will never go back to this so-called Balmoral Veterinary Clinic again, and I will be reporting this centre to the proper authorities so that other little dogs are not butchered like my daughter's dog was. That wee dog was like part of the family, and my daughter has been sick ever since it died. She was worried about where her wee dog was now. So, to pacify her, I went down to speak to a priest in St. Patrick's Chapel in Donegal Street. His name was Father McGee, about where dogs go after they die. Now, this priest was very arrogant and said that dogs go nowhere as after they die. I put it to him that, like people, dogs and all animals were made by God and would be judged by God after death, and they would be seen in heaven, like the good people on earth. He completely disagreed with me. His version was that animals are just for pleasure, and after they die they go nowhere, and that dogs have no souls like people, and they are not judged by God and do not go to heaven. And I put it to him that people who murder innocent people, paedophiles who abuse children, in his eyes, all have a chance of going to heaven. Yet innocent pets who give years of pleasure and comfort and companionship to many, many, many good people, when they die, they go nowhere. Well, let me say, if that is the teaching of the Catholic Church, I, for one, do not agree at all with it. I will be speaking to other priests to get their views on the subject. I have spoke to a well-known Presbyterian minister, a minister called Reverend Jack Lamb, to ask his opinion of the subject of dogs dying and where they go. This man had a totally different view on the matter. He said God made all animals and would treat them the same as people. He quoted me some passages from the Bible that mentioned animals and their purpose, and that many saints had loved for animals. This minister even wanted to call and see my daughter to assure her that her wee dog would be with God, and to give her a blessing to ease her loss. What a difference you have in both men on the teachings of the mercy of God. I wonder if the Catholic Church and its priests, Father McGee, who I spoke to, realise that dogs are living beings made by God, as he never once asked about my dog or my daughter. Yet the Reverend Jack Lamb from the Townsend Street Presbyterian Church spent over an hour with me talking about the dog and my daughter, and said prayers for my daughter and blessed her, and also said prayers for her wee Yorkie, and was adamant that the wee Yorkie was with God. He had no doubts about that, and they would meet again when the time comes one day. What a difference I seen in those two men. Reverend Jack Lamb showed me what kindness and sympathy and humility was, compared to Father McGee, who just did not want to be bothered talking to me. It has now made me think long and hard at my Catholic faith and the people who are running it. Once again, to my friend Reverend Jack Lamb, thank you very much and God bless you. If any members of the public who would like to comment on my story, I would be willing to speak to them. Thank you and good morning. Now, anyone who has a story to tell and wishes me to air it can call me on mobile 07715 921137, or I can send a report route to get your story. And remember, I will tell your story as you tell me. Nothing will be cut. Watch more of my stories on YouTube, arthurrofferty.com. My email is arthurrofferty1@gmail.com. YouTube Arthur Rofferty, Arthur Rofferty Docker. Thank you for watching ASNI TV. See you soon. Good morning.